What up, guys? Welcome to the New American Dream podcast. I'm your host, George Gibson. Alrighty, I ain't going in front. This is a great episode today, and we got guests, we got a special call in, and we want to stick around for the show. Put it like that. But before we get into the show, I want you to. In my life, I have been decluttering. So what I mean by that is making my life simple. Try to keep your outfits, your clothes simple. Try to keep your meals simple. Try to keep your life simple. Get rid of so much stuff. When I mean stuff you ain't use in a year, 2 years, 5 years, get rid of it out of your way because I'm learning that the less I have to think about daily tasks, paying bills, picking out clothes, I can focus on being successful and just being in tune, being present. We don't need so much stuff. So like you got 1,000 pairs of clothes, get rid of some of the stuff. You probably ain't wore some of that stuff in 3, 4 years. Shoes, because then when you look in your closet, less choices, take less time, life is easier, and you can help more people, which is the theme of this show. We everything we're doing in our life is purpose is to help other people be better people and have a better life. That's our purpose. So, this show, sit back, relax. It's kind of a long show, but I think it's worth it, and you will learn a lot of information. So, this is a guy. His name is Chess Holmes. Check him out on YouTube, Instagram. But here we go. We're gonna jump right into it. All right, welcome to the show. We have Chess Holmes. How you
All
doing
right.
now?
All
Yes.
right.
So tell the people a little bit about who you are and what you do. Just a little 30-second rundown.
Gotcha. Okay. Chess Homes. I'm a real estate investor. I flip houses and I buy apartment buildings. That's my whole strategy. That's it. Like no frills, no thrills. I flip houses. I take the money from the houses that I flip and I buy apartment buildings with them.
Okay. Jeez. All right.
Yes.
So you don't keep no homes. You just flip the homes, but you buy the cash flow rentals and apartment buildings, basically.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I have a strong theory on buying houses to keep and hold. I don't believe that buying single family houses works as a strategy to hold them and rent them out. I don't think they cash flow. Unless you got 20, 30 of them or something like that, and you start building up a large portfolio, then maybe that strategy could work. But as a single fam, as a if you're buying one house to hold and you're buying that house to rent it out, I don't think it's not going to produce any income. It's not going to produce any income for you.
Okay. So, all right, people. All right, he gave you like a tease, but we got a new segment in the show where we're gonna come back into more detail of why you feel like that. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
All right. So, all right. How was your life growing up as a child? Where, like, far as were you middle class? How was it your parents' job?
No, I grew up, I started off, man, my folks were poor. I was living in the Washington, D.C., grew up, born and raised in Washington, D.C. Single child, single parent, no brothers, no sisters, and no dad, you know.
That
And I grew up in one of the most poverty-stricken areas of Washington, D.C. So, I'm talking about where I always tell people the story of where we had to put water in our cereal sometimes because I didn't have milk, man. My mom couldn't afford milk.
that
So I kind of grew up under those conditions starting out. And then as my mom, she was working for the government and things like that, as she progressed in her job, a little bit more things were afforded to us as she progressed and moved up the ladder and things like that. Ended up, moving to Maryland afterwards for high school. But yeah, growing up, man, I didn't have a silver spoon. I didn't know anything about real estate and what I'm doing now. I didn't have a parent who was educated in real estate. So she never owned a home until I bought her a home here in Georgia.
wow. All
Yeah.
right. So, like, growing up, like, say in high school, if your friends or school people, if they would be like, all right, Chess Home is most likely to be what? What would you say? What would they have said back then?
Yeah, a musician. So I was always into music, and music was kind of my way out. Music was like my love and my first passion. So I gravitated to music, and middle school is where I kind of got serious about music. I was a trumpet player. And then what I would always do, because I didn't have any male role models, I would always find a mentor, a male mentor that I could sort of latch onto and try to get information from and direction from, right?
Right.
So, but I didn't have, again, I didn't have a father, but I was always kind of looking for that father figure. And then when I fell in love with music, it led me to several mentors during that path.
Okay.
So most likely everybody in high school knew me for music. I was the music guy. When I got in trouble, I would go to the band room.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's funny because it's funny because in high school, you got certain people, but 10 years from now, like, could you imagine them being the person? Like, people change, or some people are predictable. Like, hey, they gonna be this,
Right. Yeah. No, I was definitely not favored to be
like business.
I've only had one person. It was my middle school gym teacher that told me, boy, you're gonna be something one day. I can see it in you. You're gonna excel and do some things in your life. But everybody else had me slated to fail, man. Everybody else, long story short, I don't want to get all deep into the family history.
Right.
But based on the way that I was brought up, my other family members lived out in the rural areas and in the well-to-do areas, but me and my mom, we didn't live there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we kind of came from that, like, well, they're probably not going to amount to anything. He's going to be like his mom. He's going to be like this and that and the other.
So you feel like that kind of even pushed you more to want to be more successful because the people in the outlook got that thought of you, right?
Yeah, later on, once I realized what success looked like for me, once I realized, again, it was music. I got attributed to music and the love for music and passion for music, that kind of started showing me, wait a minute, this is something I can get paid for. I can get paid to do. My first gig that I got paid for, I was in high school, and they paid me $75. I was a freshman. And they paid me $75 to write out some music for the chorus,
right.
the choir. And I said, what? I can actually get paid for this? And
so I want to ask you this. This kind of like one of my homeboys, close homeboys, he is a drummer. So basically, he played drums locally, but like in any business, I'm always like, how can you scale that? Because like you said, you get $75 for you, like, whoa, I got paid. So that's good. That's a good sign you got paid for it.
Right.
But if you were still, playing as a musician, how would you scale that 75 to 750? Like, just as your business real estate, how would you do it in that arena?
Oh, I did. I was a professional. So I became a professional. I was playing and touring with all types of people. I was with Tina Marie. I was her music director before she passed away. I was with Terry Cummins, basketball player. I don't know if you remember Terry Cummins. He's a basketball player.
Right.
But I was touring with the Temptations when I was in college. I got selected to play for them. So that came along with playing with Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, all types of people like that. Dang. So I didn't scale it as a business, but I treated it as a business. As a result, my skill set took me on tours all over the world.
But how did you even get to that tour? Are you good? You got your skills, but still nobody sees you outside your environment. So how did you get to the big
No, so that's right. So that's what happened was when I was in college, they started recognizing my skill. Okay. And as they recognized my skill and my dedication to what I was doing, when these jobs came along, it just so happened in college, the head of the music department in the school that I went to was the person that booked all of the major acts that came into Washington, D.C. Okay. So his name was Clarence Knight, Dr. Clarence Knight. And Clarence Knight, again, as I was progressing in music and they saw my, what I was doing in music, they started saying, well, you know what, let's choose. And again, my name wasn't Chess then. So I've changed my name 2 times.
Okay.
So everybody, my name prior to being ChessHomes was Hudson on Base. And that was my legal name, Hudson on Base.
Gee, so your legal name is ChessHomes?
Well, now it is. I'm going through the process. I filed paperwork and things like that now to make my legal name ChessHomes.
Right.
So I probably got another 15 days before everything is finalized. But as of right now, my legal name is Hudson on Base.
Okay, that's dedication to change it, because you know what I mean. I was wondering why your Instagram was ChessHomes. What made you choose that? Because it seemed like, are you playing chess with Holmes? You know.
Well, sort of. You know, buying these houses and real estate is a chess game, man.
Exactly.
But life is a chess game. You know, life is a chess game. It's all about, you know, making the right moves at the right times, you know, and being strategic about the moves that you make. So we'll get into the segment where we talk about how I got to the real estate stuff. But
no, that's what I was gonna say. Go ahead. How did you get it? You got out? What, did you get out of college and get a full-time job, or
no? I've never had a full-time job. I've never had a full-time job. So I was, you know, lucky enough to make it in music to where I was making about 150, 160,000 a year, just playing bass guitar. And I was playing with churches, and I was the head of the music department with a couple of mega churches, what we call mega churches here in Atlanta.
Right.
And so doing that, and then I was producing CDs and books and things like that. So with my merchandise sales, my royalties, playing and working in these churches, I was amassing, you know, around 100, started off at about 80 to 90, and then went to $150,000 a year. And that was almost right out of college. So I did, let me make sure I clarify, I did not graduate from college. Never graduated. I went to school. My last year that I thought I was graduating, my senior year, right?
Right.
They told me that your program or your degree that you were in for the last 4 years actually ended the year before you got here. So I was taking this curriculum thinking that I was in this certain major. I think it was education. And the education major ended the year before I got there, but nobody told me. What do you call him?
Your guidance counselor?
My counselor. Yeah, the guy was the counselor. He never told me that I wasn't in the curriculum that I thought I was in.
Man.
Until I got ready to graduate, they said, well, sorry, Mr. Hudson, but you know, the major that you were in ended the year before you got here. So here's what we're going to do for you. If you take 27 more credits under a new major, then you'll get your degree. Man. And at the time, I know, right? So at the time, I was in a crossroads with the decision of, should I go on tour with Grover Washington Jr.? I don't know if you know that name, Grover Washington Jr., but he was a phenomenal saxophone player.
Okay.
And I had to make a decision. Do I stay in college, or do I go off to go on tour with Grover Washington Jr.? And, you know, I went, and my administrator, my counselor or whatever said to me, he said, well, in making your decision, think about this. Why are you here? What's the reason you're here? And I said, well, I'm here so I can learn how to play so I can go tour. He said, well, there's your answer right there.
Dang.
Right. So why do you care about this degree if you want to tour? You don't need a degree to tour. You don't need a degree to play. You only need the degree if you want to go teach. Well, I never wanted to teach.
Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. Because think about it. Think about how many people go to college to say, what's your major? And they say business. And it's like, you know, honestly, if you want a business degree, go start a business and fail. That's going to give you a fast track of a business degree.
Right. That's going to be your education right there. You don't need to go pay $30,000, $50,000, $70,000 to figure that out.
So I think for the listeners, if like, just think about that. If you know somebody maybe 18 graduated and they finna go get a degree in this field, what if they could literally go get that job now? You know what I mean? Or even work around it. Because I feel like, say you want to be a welder or something like that. If
Yeah.
you go work around it, even if you find a mentor, like you said,
Yeah.
that's already doing it, you can skip so many steps, just
Right.
learn the business and start it yourself.
And you can find, or you can intern,
Yeah.
like think about all those signs. If you're trying to do real estate, think about all those signs you've seen on the side of the road that say,
We buy
real
houses.
estate trainee needed.
Oh, right.
Right. You've seen those signs before. Yeah. So, I mean, it's stuff like that. That whole college mind frame is just such an old school mind frame to me,
And the fact that, like, I got a lot of like little cousins, and they all ready to make money. Soon they graduate, rappers making money. So like,
Yeah.
they 18, 19, they like, man, I want to be a millionaire. So the first thing they do is go get a job paying $20 an hour. And I'm like, man, you like throw away your dreams or your passion when you start making maybe like $50,000 at a young age on an hourly basis. So now you rationalize money with hourly. Man, I made $23 an hour. Man, what's called paying $25 an hour? So now your dream is getting so far back there because you're thinking about the dollar amount by hour instead of going to work for Donald Trump for free.
Right, exactly. And the information and knowledge that you'll gain from working from somebody like that will give you the motivation that you need to see that that's possible. So what happens is, right out of college, they're breaking down those dreams immediately by telling you, well, here's a $30,000, $40,000 car, and here's $100,000 or $200,000 house. But you don't see that you could afford down the road $1 million or $2 million house and $100,000 or $200,000 car. And a lot of the guys that you see that are driving these cars and living in these houses on Instagram and YouTube right now don't have degrees.
You're right. And they making more than people with degrees. People with degrees trying to be YouTubers.
Right. So there's a famous T.I. line. I forgot what song it's in, but T.I. says a line in one of his songs. I know people that went out and got degrees in businesses, right out of high school, got degrees in businesses. And he said, here I am, a convicted felon, and I'm running multi-million-dollar businesses. And you went out and got a degree and went to high school and, not even making $30,000, $40,000 a year. I forgot how to paraphrase it, but there's a song.
Yeah, but that person got a degree gonna go work for T.I.
They're gonna go work for T.I. Exactly. Who came out of jail and run $1 million businesses.
But the difference between T.I. and that person with that degree is, I think most C-level students have a little high risk tolerance than A-level students. Because I think A-level students are so smart that they won't take the risk. Like me, I think I even bought houses without inspection before because I'm like, oh, that's a good deal. Let's buy it. And which that's probably dumb because it could be foundation problems, anything. But the fact that I don't think that far also made me get lucky.
Yeah, well, not only that, I'm sure when you bought those houses, you did your due diligence, right? You walked those properties before you actually purchased it. You might have taken a contractor with you to look at the foundation, to look up under the house, to maybe go up in the attic. You did your due diligence and your work to see that this house is sound enough for me to buy it without getting an inspection. I've never had an inspection on any of my properties before I bought them. I never got an inspection. So, I've gotten properties where I did the inspection afterwards. But I've never gotten an inspection on any of my and every property I've ever flipped sold.
So what if you all right, because the thing about inspection, like the plumbing, how you have a plumber come in and check it? Because some things could be underground and not seen with the eye.
Right, that you don't know. Yeah. No, so what I do, I have a different strategy. Again, my whole life is about simplifying things, right? And making things as easy as possible. That's the way I operate, right? Right. So what I do is, first of all, I don't even go see the house unless I get a contract on it. That's the first thing. I don't drive for dollars. I don't put a bandit sign. I've never owned a bandit sign. I've never printed one. I've never done any real driving for dollars. The time that I did do some driving for dollars, it was for social media. just to show this is a form of, purchasing real estate that you can do. But I didn't expect anything to come out of driving for dollars. And I only drove to like 3 houses.
So all right, before we get into how you find your deals, what's your like main real estate strategy? Some people just buy rentals, some people just do flips. What's like your angle? How you want to
Yeah, so my main strategy is I flip houses once again, and then I take the money from there and I put them into apartment buildings, and or I raise money from investors to buy apartment complexes. So it's very much a strategy like Grant Cardone's. I'm sure you're familiar with Grant. I took my theory and my strategy directly from Grant. Like, my story is a little bit different, man. So prior to getting into real estate, and we'll go backwards from here, but prior to getting into real estate, all I did was I studied for 2 years on YouTube. I literally 2 years I spent studying on YouTube. I bought my first flip using $25,000 from one of the businesses that I started. That flip I made $11,000 on. I took that money from, the original investment plus the 11, and I bought the second flip, and I made $78,000 on that flip. And then once I started, that was only 2 flips.
Right. Once
I understood the strategy from there and how things work, I went out and got a partner and then started raising money. Okay. And so my last few deals I've done without even putting any of my money into. I'm kind of jumping forward, but I'm just showing you how I kind of started in the real estate. And so my strategy is, again, it's simple. I flip houses, and then I take the money that I make from the flips and I go buy an apartment complex with it.
Okay. So like the end of the day, you want apartment complexes. Why apartment complexes? Because
that's what cash flows. Apartments cash flow, and it's not based on your credit. It's not based on what you do. It's based on what the apartment does. So in some of these apartment deals, the banks, they could care less what your credit score is. You can have a 500 credit score and own a 20-unit apartment complex. They don't care. It depends on how the property itself is cash flowing. And if it's cash flowing enough to pay the mortgage, to pay repairs, and to pay the taxes and insurance, as long as those numbers, those 3 things are in line, you can get that building with 20% down, as long as you put down 20%.
Dang. And that's it. If anybody's trying to get into real estate, rewind that 60 seconds. That's a whole book in 60 seconds right there.
Right there. Yeah.
You simplified it, like you said. You simplified it. That's what you did.
Yeah, it's simple. It's very simple. So look, man, to get into apartment deals, and we'll talk about why I said single family houses don't work and apartments do, right? But to simplify it, once again, I'll say it again. You need 20% down. So let's say you find an apartment complex or whatever the case may be. Let's call it a 4-unit, right? For $100,000. All you need is $20,000 as the down payment. Okay. Now you might need closing costs but if you can negotiate the closing costs from the seller, you don't even need that. Okay. But in some cases, you do need the closing costs, which could be 2 to 3%.
Right.
Right. So basically for $23,000, you can control a 4-unit, or depends on what you're paying for it. Right. Again, I'm just using the model of 100,000 just to keep it easy.
Right.
And I'll show you how I've done this several times, how I've done this exact strategy I'm talking about several times. But again, all the banks want to see is that you have skin in the game, and you've got your own cash to come to closing with the down payment, and they want 20%. As long as you got that, it doesn't matter who you are, what it is, what the deal is. Now, you can't buy a multi-million-dollar property and you've never done this before. You got to show some track record and things like that. But again, I'm just scaling it down on the low end. Purchasing a 4-unit for $100,000, you need $20,000, and you might need an additional $3,000 for closing costs.
$25,000 total. The only
$25,000 total, you can control a whole $100,000.
At minimum, 100,000. It's going to appreciate.
And it's going to appreciate. Yeah, we hadn't even talked about the appreciation and all of that. So that's what I do. Okay, so my first deal, my very first apartment complex deal was a 7-unit multi-complex here in Georgia, right?
Right.
I saw this unit pop up, and you'll see this on my IG, or you'll see it on my YouTube channel. By the way, guys, my IG is ChessHomes Unlimited. My YouTube channel is ChessHomes. So I post everything too. I'm like you. I post everything I do.
Nah, hey, you post more than me. Hey, I was checking your stuff out. I'm like, man, you got a whole commercials on here.
Yeah, I post everything I do because I'm very transparent with my investors. I'm very transparent with the public about what I do.
Right.
So, so I found this 7-unit. They were asking $390-something thousand for it. I had 20% of that. I had about 60. Well, actually, no. I didn't have the 60,000. I called up the agent and I made an offer on the property. Right.
Right.
They accepted my offer somewhere around that whatever it was listed for. I made a full price offer right off the bat. So I don't believe in negotiating the deal down. Okay. I'm gonna pay you what you say you want for the property. That's just how I am. Because I'm going to let the appraiser and I'm going to let the inspector negotiate the property down. And I'm going to let the bank negotiate the property down. I'm not going to do it because I don't know what it's supposed to be worth. I know we can do comps and see what comps are, but generally speaking, you don't have comps for apartment complexes. You know, on an average, generally speaking, you might have something sort of similar, but there's no other 7-unit apartment complexes in the area that I bought this in.
So what are they looking at to qualify?
Right. So the banks are looking at what's it cash flowing? How much money is this thing making? And if the rents, and it's super simple, guys. If the rents are covering those expenses, they're covering the mortgage, they're covering the taxes, they're covering the insurance, and they're covering repairs, then this thing must be cash flowing. It's bringing in a little money. So the banks, and then you're bringing 20% down. It's a good deal all day long.
Yeah, it don't sound. I'll loan you the money if I had it. Sound like no risk.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'll get into how I raise money to get these things. So let's go back to that 7-unit, right?
Right.
So the 7-unit, I think again, they were asking like $390 something. Now in this case with that unit, because it was my first time buying a multifamily, I did take an inspector out there to do an inspection on that one. Okay. And only because he was a good friend of mine and I wanted to get him paid. Gotcha. So he went out, he did the inspection, he came back with A, B, C, D, and E, F, and G were wrong with all 7 of these units, right? So check this out. So I go back to the my agent and I said, look, here's the inspection report showing all these things wrong. And I said, I want to renegotiate the deal. So I asked them, could I pay like $343? Because that's what I actually ended up buying it for.
Right.
And they accepted the offer at $343. And they accepted it at $343 with the seller paying all closing costs.
That's why I tell people, like, for anybody, if you're first time trying to buy investment property, don't be so caught up in that initial purchase price. Like you said, I call them my backups. You got the bank, the bank gonna cover you. So they gonna
cover you.
Then you got the appraiser that's supposed to cover you. You gotta be careful though, because sometimes the appraiser just want to get it gone. But yeah, the appraiser's supposed to cover you too. Yep. And you got the inspector. So inspector. So you got 3 people that's kind of like, if something wrong, you got some backup and you got proof.
Right. You got these safety nets, right? You got these safety nets, and the bank is not going to approve the deal. The bank is not going to approve a bad deal. They won't do it, right?
I'm gonna tell you, my first multifamily I purchased was a duplex, and it threw me all off. I was buying it for like $100,000, but guess what the appraiser came back at?
What?
$78,000. Bad appraiser. He was not good. Right. So I'm mad. I'm like, man, this thing worth $100, man. What's going on? not knowing I'm sticking my foot in my mouth because now this appraiser is stuck to this property for the next 6 months. So really, I had more leverage after the appraisal 78 because I was like, hey, this property was appraisal 78. So they was like, what? All right. So now they just sold it for 80.
Right. So you got to drop the price. Right. If you want to sell it, right. And that appraisal is going to go for anybody that comes in. Like I'm really the deal that I'm the most proud of is this last deal that I purchased, the 6 unit that I purchased in December. And I'll get into that in a second, right? But again, back to that seven unit. So I went back to the table to negotiate the deal. I negotiated down to 343,000. And you'll see this again on my YouTube channel and all that stuff. And the seller paying all closing costs, right?
Right.
What I did from there was I had the money from one of my flips that I had on hand. I had about 30,000 on hand myself, but it cost me 68,000 to get into this property at 343, right? You can do the math. So what I did was I raised the additional funds. I raised the additional 38,000 that I needed.
Oh man, so instead of giving up on a deal, you said, let me just go find, I got a good deal, so it shouldn't be that hard to get money.
Right, let me go find the money, right? And so the way that I work that strategy is, I find people that are looking for investments to put their cash into, or their vehicles to put their cash into that are better than their banks and that are better than their 401ks, that are better than the CDs, the IRAs, and all of this stuff that they have. I give them a better deal. So what I did was I went to my investors and I said, look, I'll give you, I think I gave 7% on that deal on the 7 unit. It was either 7 or 8%, okay? Right. Or it might've been 10. I can't remember what the number is, but whatever it was, I told them, look, I can beat your bank on a monthly basis. I can give you a 10%, let's say 10% annualized interest rate, right? Off of the money you give me. So basically, if you give me $10,000, I'm going to give you, I think it was like $1,000 for the year, right? Break that down by 12, and that's like whatever the number is, right? So that's what I did. And it made sense for people that had money just sitting in a bank account doing nothing.
Exactly.
And those investors are still with me to this day, making whatever they're making, because think about it, off the first interest payment that I give them, they've already made more than they're gonna make with the bank for the whole year.
Right. So, all right, ChessHomes. So this is what we got.
Yeah.
I have people now, I'm getting big time, right? I got people now, they call into the show and they're gonna ask a question. So we got the first guest, well, not first, but the person for this show, he gonna come on and basically ask you a real estate question. So let's see.
Okay, sure.
How this works.
Let's do it.
Taraj. Hello?
Sometimes it takes them a minute to get the microphones in.
Yeah.
There he is.
All right. Welcome to the show. We got Taraj on the show. What's going on, man?
I'm hanging in there. How you guys doing?
All right. So, all right, we got ChessHomes. Go ahead.
How you doing, Taraj?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, my brother. Doing great, man. Anytime I'm talking real estate, I'm loving it. I'm right at home.
Awesome. Me too, man. Me too.
You go ahead. Ask your question.
Oh, ChessHomes, man. I'm a fan. I watch your YouTube content, and I'm curious to know. I just started out in real estate. I had just got my real estate license, and I wanted to get into the investing side of things. And I was wondering how I would approach like family and friends as far as trying to get them to help me raise capital.
Right. That's a great question. Great question. So the first thing, Taraj, is you got to show them that you know what you're doing. Okay. You got to show them that that you know how to calculate these numbers, how to do the deals, and you just got to show them that these numbers make sense. So as an investor that raises money, a lot of times my job is to bring awareness to people that, number one, this type of investment is out there, And number two, that it makes sense to do something better than what they're already doing with their money.
Okay.
Right? So my main advice would be is to educate yourself on the numbers. Make sure you know these numbers backwards and forwards, so that when you find a good deal and you present a deal to them, that it makes so much sense to them that the only reason that they would say no is because, like George said earlier, they're just super skeptic or scared to invest.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that when you walk into these people with these deals, that you have your numbers 100% in line, and showing them how much money you're going to be giving them over what period of time.
Okay.
Okay. So for instance, like with my 7-unit, I told my investors, I need you guys to keep the funds with me for 6 months to a year. Okay. Because here's what I know. Within that time frame, I'm going to be flipping houses, constantly flipping houses. So I'm going to have the funds to pay you back out of my flips. I'm making anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 or $70,000 for my flips. Okay. You guys, on the 28th of this month, I want you to follow me. On the 28th of this month, you're getting ready to see me deposit over $140,000 from one flip. One flip. Okay. So what I'm saying is my closing's on the 28th. And so that's the profit. That's just the profit.
Hey, look.
That's not what I'm getting back for the down payment too.
Hey, you're going to have people calling you on the 28th. Let me borrow some money.
Well, I know I shut that down. But no, and again, if you're following my content on IG and YouTube and all that stuff, you'll see what I'm telling you is real. So out of that money that I make on the 28th, I pay some of my investors in my apartment deals back. But that's why I tell them, give me a year. Let me hold on to the funds for 1 year. And during that course of that year, I'm giving them a monthly check based on whatever they invested. So again, like I told George, let's say I got an investor at $10,000. I agreed to pay him 10% of that, right? Which is $1,000. Yeah. I take $1,000 and that should be 100 and let me get what that number is. I always keep my calculator with me. What's 1,000 divided by 12? I think it's eight. I think is it 88, 66 or 66, 66, something like that?
Yes, 83.
83 bucks a month, right? So what I'm telling my investors is I'll give you 83 bucks a month if you give me $10,000 and keep it with me from 6 months to a year. I'm going to be able to give you the 10,000 back once I cash out of the flip. So now, not only have I paid them every month, first of all, the first month, they're beating what they made in their bank all year off the first payment. $10,000 in a bank account for a year, you'll probably make $5, maybe, right?
Right.
So right there, $83, they've already made more than what they're going to make all year off of me just paying them one time.
So yeah. I was going to say, so Taraj, why do you say family and friends? You know what I mean? Why would you limit yourself to families and friends? Because I don't think ChessHomes investors are families and friends.
No, they're not.
Well, the reason why I said that was because I figured with real estate, they tell you to start with friends and family to let them know that you're in the business. So I figured if it came to investing, I would start with friends and families, at least.
Yeah, not true. So I have over 50 investors now, and only 2 of them are my family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My mom is one. My mom is one because I wanted to get her paid. Okay. And then I have my aunt. She's another one. Those are the only 2 family members that I have in these deals. Everybody else is from a network of people that I've met either on IG or, they see my YouTube channel, or they're following me in some type of way, or they knew me from like when I was playing in these different churches and arenas and things like that. Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is my network came from without, not within.
So how would he get people to invest? How would he get people to invest if he has no experience yet? How
Got you. And you know how? Social media. Your social media, man, when people start, like you said, Taraj, when you came in, you said, I've been following you, right?
Right.
So if you've been following me, you've been watching my deals, you've been seeing me have success and progress. You've been seeing, you know, all of this stuff that I'm telling you guys is not just me making up stuff. I'm actually executing these things out in the market. And I'm doing what I'm saying. So I started building up my social media so that I could show people a platform where I could show people, look, this is what I'm doing and these deals are for real. Here's the money right here. And once people see what you're doing and that you're for real about it and you have had success with it, they don't mind putting up money with you as long as you're transparent. As long as you're open and transparent with them, they'll have no problems putting up money. Now, granted, there's some back end stuff you want to take care of. You want to take care of your contracts and things like that. And I'll give you guys this tip too. I use FormSwift. It's a website called FormSwift. George, you familiar with FormSwift?
Nope.
Okay. So I use a platform called FormSwift, FormSwift, to do all of my contracts. What FormSwift does, it's a plug and play contract creator,
right,
and it goes for every single state. So these are legally binding contracts in the state that my investors are in.
Okay.
And I secure the deals with these contracts. I'll secure the deal with a joint venture agreement. You guys have heard of those possibly.
I heard of that.
And I'll secure the deal with a promissory note, promising that the money that you give me, I'm going to give it back to you within this time period or this time frame.
Okay.
Yeah. So for you, Taraj, here's your steps, buddy. Start posting on social media what you're doing.
Okay.
And start being confident about the deals that you're doing, finding these deals. Even if you're just finding deals that you're not buying yet, still educate people or educate yourself and then educate people about how these deals are structured and how they work and how the numbers work and how much, the most important thing, how much can you make for other people? That's it. And then as you post on social media, you're going to get people trickling in and say, oh man, you know, how do you do this? How do you do that? And then you put them in a Zoom call like we're in right now and say, look, here's what I'm doing. Here's my books. Here's my records. Let's get on, you know, I got this deal coming up, and start raising the money. And you'd be surprised at the number of people that will give you money as long as you're honest and transparent.
So Chess, all right, Taraj, before you get off, just give him a little backstory of what you do so he can give you advice on like, all right, what if he was in your shoes, what should you do?
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually a mailman, so I deliver mail full time, and then I'm getting into real estate now. So
right,
that's just a little bit.
That's where you're at. Okay, so let me ask you this question: how much have you saved up? And you know, like I said, I'm transparent and honest. If you don't want to give the answer, don't worry about it. But just think about it in your head. How much have you actually saved up so far for investing in real estate? If you had to give it a number, what would you say?
About 20.
Okay, so 20, dude, you're in there. You're already there. With $20,000, here's what you can do. You need to flip a house, all right? You can't flip a house by yourself with 20 grand now. The market is just so, and I mean, maybe depending on where you're at. I don't know how your market is where you are. But what you can do is you can say, look, I got 20 grand and I got a partner that's got 20 grand, right? If you can't find that partner, you can come to somebody like George, or you can come to me and say, Chess, look, I got 20 grand. I know I can't do this deal myself, but I'd like to put the 20 grand with you. I'll pair you with myself or someone else that has another 20 grand, and I'll find the deal. I'll structure the deal. I'll back the deal. I'll put the deal in my business name, all of that stuff. I'll give you your securities that you're supposed to have. And then I'll give you a percentage of the profit on those deals. So normally I give people, George, and I don't know what you do or if you structure your things this way, but normally I give my investors 15%. Okay, which is a great return. Like,
that's a great return.
That's a great return. You're not getting 15% with your bank, definitely, right? And the reason I'm able to do that, because let's say we got, you know, a $30,000 profit, right, off of this deal. Well, I don't have to have the whole 30,000. I don't mind giving you 15% of your 20,000, because look, if I took your 20 and I took this other person's 20 and I put it into the deal, I'm going to make a portion of the profit off of the deal, and you guys are both going to make 15%. So you're happy because you're making 15% without doing any work whatsoever in the deal. This other person's happy, they're making 15% without putting any work in the deal. And I'm happy because I'm going to make the two 15%, you know, less the two 15%. See what I'm saying? So now I'm making money without putting any of my money in the deal.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And I do it all the time. You look at my IG, you look at my YouTube channel, I do it all the time. So with 20 grand is what I'm saying. You might not have enough to flip the house yourself, but you do have enough to partner with somebody to get into their deal. They'll let you into their deal. And when they let you into their deal, you know, whatever their return is for you, if you're willing to accept it, then you're in a deal and you don't have to do anything. But here's the key, Taraj. Make sure you put your $20,000 with somebody you trust, man. Somebody you know that's going to give you your money back.
Absolutely.
Do not. I hear so many times, man, people giving money to people that are not honest, you know? And there's a lot of them out here. So you got to be careful. Look at these people's social media. You know, are they just posting social media from a room with a background, a great background, and telling you about real estate, or are they on deals and walking properties?
Yeah.
Are they at the club? Look, a lot of times I shoot videos from the closing tables to show people, look, I'm at the closing table. On the 28th, you're going to see me at the closing table collecting the check.
All right. So how many days? All right. I don't even say days, but Taraj, we're going to do a 6-month check. We want an investment property, some kind of flip. You know, you got to go and take the step. You know what I mean?
I think George, you're giving him too much time.
Yeah.
It's too much time. Dude, you already got 20 grand. I should give you until Tuesday, next Tuesday.
Oh man. All right.
Because look, no, seriously, because George, Taraj already has the money. He's got you and he's got me. Yeah. So he's got the resources that he needs to get into a deal already.
Yeah.
All he has to do is just take the leap of faith to say, do I trust these two guys enough to put my money up with them and let them make money back for me? That's all. That's the only decision you got to make, Taraj.
Hey, ChessHomes, but a little backstory. So, you know, I was a mailman too. So me and Taraj basically worked together. So he see what it, you know what I mean?
He's seen you buy properties.
George gave me the blueprint. He gave me the blueprint.
Dude, you had I should give you till Tuesday of next week. By Tuesday of next week, you should have wrote that $20,000 check out to George or myself or anybody that you trust and say, look, man, put me in a deal. Put me in a deal so I can hurry up and grow this money. And then once you get that 20 to say 40, maybe 50,000, then you're able to do your own flips by yourself. But you think about what you've had during the time in that process. You've had a mentor to show you how it's done, to walk through the numbers with you, to actually be in the deal, to watch the deal. You're watching YouTube. I hope you're watching YouTube, because I can rip off a whole host of names of people you should be watching on YouTube right now. Yeah. Not just myself, you know? So you're learning your stuff. I learned everything I know about real estate from YouTube, guys. 2 years of studying YouTube. I didn't go to any seminars. I didn't go to any classes. I didn't go to any meetup groups before I invested that first 25K.
Right.
And what I did, let me give you the story, George. I'll go back to the story of what I did. I started a company, a chess company, that teaches the game of chess to kids in schools. Right now, It's the largest company in the state of Georgia that teaches the game of chess to kids in schools. I took that company to over $1 million company. Right now, that company is over $1 million company, right? So every single month, after about 8 months with that company, every single month, I had, no, I'm sorry, not 8 months, 4 years. It was about 4 years, somewhere around there. But anyway, after some time, I had $25,000 left over every single month after all my bills were paid. That company was bringing in about $53,000 a month.
Gee.
Right? So with this 25,000, when I first started having it, dude, I was going out buying $10,000 bass guitars. I was going out buying motorcycles, Hummers, trucks, cars. I was buying out all of this garbage, right? And I said, wait a minute. I need to make this money work for me. I need to start getting paid. And this was when I did not have the correct information about investing in real estate. This is when I was thinking buying single family homes was going to do it. And I was listening to all these people saying, go buy a home and rent it out. Go buy a home and rent it out. So I went and bought a house with $25K as my down payment. And I rented it out and had every nightmare you can daggone imagine with the tenant, right? But then I went and did it again. I did that 4 times before I started learning from Grant Cardone and Ben Muller and Manny Koshbin, all of these people who were doing it on a much bigger scale. I said, wait a minute, man, I'm dealing with all of these, tenants, termites, and toilets myself, when I could hire a property manager, buy me a multifamily, hire a property manager to deal with all of these issues. And all I have to do is just give the okay for them to do the work. Okay.
So ChessHomes, so what if, like, this is a little bit different from real estate, but if, like God came and whispered in your ear, like, this is your purpose. Nobody knows this, but this is what I want you to do. What do you think that would be?
What would my purpose be? To help other people. That's it. That's all of our purposes on this planet, is just to help other people. To pass our information, knowledge on to somebody else that'll help make somebody else's life better. That's your purpose. Your purpose is not real estate. Your purpose is not whatever it is, delivering mail. That's not your purpose in life, is delivering mail. Your purpose in life is to help other people and make their lives better, however that can be. And think about it. When somebody comes to you and they ask for help with something and you can do it, don't you automatically do it? You don't even have to think about it. It's like a no-brainer. You just do it because you can. And so that's the purpose of life in general, is to, and by the way, guys, let me let you guys know, I'm not a spiritual guy. I don't get into, the God concept and all of that stuff. I mean, I used to. I was raised in that. I was raised Baptist by my mom. But after I went and started studying for myself, I started noticing some things that just took me in another direction. Okay. I'm not going to dwell on religion and things like that, but just me personally, I'm in a different direction with religion. Okay. But that doesn't mean that I don't still help other people. That's my God. That's my duty, is to help other people as much as I can. Help other people make their lives better with whatever that means. If you're in a grocery store, and George, you've probably done this before. A lot of times I can be in the dollar store, the grocery store, and I see somebody that has a few items, right? I'll ask them, do you mind if I pay for those items for you? Just out of the blue. Just and 9 times out of 10, they look and say, oh, well, okay. I say, because what that does for me is it gives me a sense of knowing that I did something for somebody else just out of the kindness of my heart, not wanting anything in return. And I truly believe when you do stuff like that, the universe returns it back to you tenfold. Now, I do believe that. A lot of people call it blessings. I don't call it blessings, right?
Nah, when you said that, I immediately remember a time I was in Dollar Tree, and I was thinking, because the lady had, I think, like 2 kids, maybe son, 2 kids in front of her, and I'm like, I'm saying, oh, I should pay for her stuff, but then I never did it though. But my intuition was saying, You know, you
Do
should,
it.
yeah, but now I'm trying to in tune. So when that voice in my head say that, I go ahead and try to go ahead.
So look, go to the dollar store. You guys, I'm gonna give you a challenge, right? Go to the dollar store, your local dollar store, wherever it may be, and just go buy something, whatever it is, and the person behind you, they ain't gonna have $50 or $60 worth of stuff. They're in a dollar store, right? They're gonna probably have $10 worth of stuff, right?
Right.
Just ask them, do you mind if I pay that for you, right? And if you're religious and they say, well, you know, I'll say, look, it'll bless me if you allow me to do this for you. It'll give me a blessing and somebody else will pay it forward to me, right? I guarantee you that person's gonna say, yeah. They're gonna say, oh, you're so sweet. But watch how you feel when you leave. Once you leave that person, and you're not doing it to show off, because we're talking about the dollar store, dude. We ain't talking about you gotta have a bunch of money to do this. So you're not doing it to show off, but the gratification that you get from helping someone else when you leave that out of that store, you're gonna leave out before them because you're in front of them. Watch how you feel. And then when you get into a position where you're constantly getting that gratification and you know what that feeling feels like, you're gonna do it more and more. So I was in the grocery store, probably this was last year sometime, and I'll never forget, guys. My mom, I remember, George, I told you, I grew up in poverty, dude. I didn't grow up silver spoon and all that stuff. So my mom used to always have this saying at the grocery store, stop at $50. She would tell the teller that all the time. You ever heard anybody say that?
Mm-hmm. Don't go over 50.
Don't go over $50, right? I heard a guy in the grocery store say, don't go over $65. It triggered, like, it went right to me to say, sir, do you mind if I go ahead and cover the whole bill? You go ahead and get everything you got. And he looked at me and he was like, man, I said, sir, please allow me to do this. All right. Go ahead and put everything on, get everything you got in your cart. Just go ahead and get it. And I think his bill came up to like $80 or something like that. I don't know what it was, but I just paid it. And he was so thankful. And when I walked out of that store, it made me feel like, man, like I'm in position to do that now. I can do it now. I have the funds to do stuff like that.
And
right?
I think as you do it now at a low level, when you become a millionaire, you might do it at a bigger level. You know what I mean?
I do it at a bigger level. I do it at a much larger level now.
Yeah.
Now I'm making people that's got $20,000, I'm making them 15% on their money. Right. You see what I'm saying? So you'll get used to that habit. You'll get used to that feeling, that gratification. And I'm telling you guys, I don't even know if I told George this. I've only been investing in real estate 2 years. I started March of 2019. Go back and look at my first YouTube post. It was 2019. That's when I started flipping houses. And ever since then, I flipped about 8 houses in 2 years, and I bought 3 apartment buildings. I own 3 apartment deals now, and I'm in 3 new flips right now.
I like the strategy. Take the flip money and buy cash flow.
Buy cash flow. That's all I do is I buy cash flow.
All right. This part we're gonna call leveling up. First time on the show. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna make a little bit up on the fly, but we're gonna make it work.
Okay.
So basically, when I'm gonna give you a house in the numbers, and I want you to tell me, do you sell it? Do you keep it for a rental property, refinance, or maybe like a line of credit? All right. Gotcha. So you got a house, you paid $100,000 for it. It's worth $200,000, but you collecting $1,000 a month. Do you keep it, the cash flow? Do you flip it? Do you refinance it, take more money, or get a line of credit?
Sell it.
So,
sell it.
Flip it.
Look, you already know my theory on this is a single family house, right?
Right.
Sell it. Get out of it. Get out of it immediately. Soon as you can. Cash out of it. Take that cash and go buy you an apartment complex, man.
Okay. All right. So you sell it. All right. Now we got $100,000. Now we buy a 4-unit. We take the $100,000, buy a 4-unit quadplex.
Okay.
So quadplex costs $500,000, right? You put down 20%. You put down $100,000.
Right.
Say you cash flow, you making about $300 a unit, 300 times 4, that's like that's like, no, let's say,
1,200.
yeah, but let's add a little bit more. Say you're making $1,500 a month.
Okay.
You bought it for 500. Now it's worth $700,000. But you're also making cash flow, positive $1,500 a month. Do you keep that 4 unit, or do you flip it, or do you refinance it, or do you just take a line of credit? You got no money.
Okay, so that's a great question. It gets a little bit more interesting there. When you say you've got a 4 unit that's cash flowing you $1,500 a month. I own a 4 unit right now.
Right.
And it's not cash flowing at $1,500 a month. All right. So it depends on what you need. It depends on
if you got zero money. If you got $0, but you got this nice fourplex that's worth 700.
Yeah.
And you cash flow 15, so you're making 1,500, but you could sell it, or you could refinance it, or you could take a line of credit. Because
and so you're saying you're making 15 after all the expenses are paid?
Yes.
Okay. I like to see that happen with a 4 unit. I don't know that
well,
it can.
Yeah, maybe it's 1,200. I was just trying to give it a little bit more.
It's just a number. You just put a number. Okay. Yeah. So what I say is keep it for the cash flow as long as you can, right? Because that $1,500 a month is covering your car note, or it's covering your mortgage, or it's covering some bill or some expense for you. What it's doing is it's lightening up your load for something that you don't have to work for. Okay, it's residual income. Now we're getting into residual income. So that $1,500 is lightening up your load somewhere else so that you can do something else, right? So Taraj, if you didn't have to pay your rent every month or your mortgage every month, and it's coming from this $1,500, do you need to keep delivering mail?
Nah.
Not really. Not really. I mean, you might want to just to have a little extra cash flow. But you can now start to focus on doing something different and finding another way to bring in more income. Okay. So to answer your question, George, I would keep it if it's cash flowing, but I'd also be looking at when is the right opportunity to sell this thing, pull my money or refinance it, pull my money out so I can get the next 4 unit. Because you should always be leveling up. Like you said, you should always be looking for the next unit.
So you and are after asking them too, it seemed like, all right, if it's cash flowing a good amount of money, you keep it. But if it's not cash flowing that much and you can flip it and you can level up, do that. So you don't really believe in getting a line of credit. You would rather refinance over a line of credit?
Yeah, I would refinance over a line of credit. I mean, line of credit means that to me, and I could be wrong, guys, but a line of credit means to me that you're putting something on your credit, your actual credit. Now, my question to you would be, can you get a line of credit on a business loan, or does it have to be on personal?
That's a question for the bank.
There you go. So see, I don't know. Like, guys, I don't know everything, right?
Right.
But what I'm saying is line of credit to me sounds like I'm getting ready to finance something in my personal name, and I don't finance real estate in my personal name. The only property I have in my personal name is my house, which is the worst investment property that I have. My own house is my worst investment property because that's the only one that I'm paying money out to live in.
Got it.
All of the rest of them, somebody else is paying for. And by the way, guys, I own 24 doors right now.
In 2 years.
In 2 years.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's all on the channel. Go check out the social media.
So if you could hire one person, like say you got a position in your business that you could hire somebody for, like right now, like they the best at that position. What position on your team would you hire somebody for? Right
somebody now? To find me money, find me more money. So I guess it would be a broker, maybe. Or like somebody that could find a way, because this is where I'm at right now. I'm going through this right now. I've got a 7 unit, I've got a 4 unit, and I've got a 6 unit, right? I bought the 7 unit in April of 2021. I bought the 4 unit in June of 2021, and I bought the 6 unit in December of 2021, okay? So what I'm looking at right now is how can I refinance either one or all of these deals into one bank loan, pull out some cash, and then take that cash and buy the next deal. That's where I'm at right now. So I need somebody where I can do that right now. Now I've got a source I've created something called the money list, which I don't want to get too far off track, but that's where I'm at right now. I would hire somebody that can find me money so that I can refinance these deals, pull cash out, and get ready to get right into the next deal.
Jeez.
That's who I would hire.
Yeah, got it. That's the money man, right?
I need the money man. I need the money man.
All right. So, dang, if we go any farther, we're going to have to put a subscription on this. So, all right. These like the last 5 questions of the New American Dream. First thing to come to your mind. If you could spend a day with a mentor, who would it be?
Ben Muller.
Ben Muller. Hey, guess what? I might be your secret source because I know Ben Muller.
Yeah, I know him too. I went to his convention. I got his phone number in my phone.
Oh, man. So
I went to his convention. Like, if you look at my IG a few posts back,
right.
I got him Ben Muller's Rolls Royce, the $500,000 Rolls Royce.
No.
I'm in it. I'm talking to Ben. Ben's hugging me. We're talking to each other. We're like, look at my IG. Me and Ben spent some time together at that convention.
Okay, I gotta check that out. I didn't know that, but Ben Muller, he's a down-to-earth guy, and he's the real deal.
I would rather spend time with him before I spent time with Grant Cardone.
And why you say that though?
Well, Grant's a little bit different, right? So Ben, just from my experience and even before I knew Ben, watching him, Ben is the type of person that treats everybody the same. You know, he's down to earth. He doesn't care about skin color. He doesn't care about, he just cares about the business for you, right? And he's also, although he's a billionaire or multi-millionaire, he still can relate to you and I as the little guy, right? Grant doesn't really give me that feeling. Grant gives me more of a feeling like
big shot. He's airplane guy.
He's a big shot guy, you know, and I don't think that Grant would belittle us or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I just feel like Ben would give me more, or I would get more from Ben Muller than I would Grant Cardone. So to answer the question, if I could spend time with anybody, it would be Ben Muller. I'd like to spend a whole day with Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a smart man. All right. If you had to refer one book to a friend to make them a millionaire, what book would it be?
The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. It's a 9-hour audio book. If you got the audio book, you can download it. There it is right there. That's it. Yeah, that's it. The Millionaire Real Estate Investor.
Have you read that, Gerard?
I actually have it. I'm with Keller Williams, so they gave us basically all of Gary Keller's books.
Yeah. So I recommend Taraj, get it from YouTube as an audio book.
Okay.
And it's an easy download from YouTube. It's 9 hours, and just go through the whole 9 hours. Here was how I did it. When I told you guys I studied real estate for 2 years, every time I got in the car, I would put YouTube on my phone and I would listen and watch videos while I was driving. Every time I would have a free minute to do anything, I would watch YouTube and I would look. And so that book, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, is one of the books that I spent, you know, every minute I could. When I was going to the gym, I would listen to it until I finished the whole thing.
Chess, I'll tell you, because he was a mailman and I was a mailman. So I worked there for 5 years.
Okay.
The first year, I listened to nothing but rap music. I ain't gonna lie. Right?
Okay.
First year. But then, like, for some reason, I downloaded Bigger Pockets podcast.
Bigger Pockets, right.
That was the first podcast I heard. Man, they was at like episode 40 at the time. Man, I listened to like 40. I went back to one every day for like, we work like 10 hours a day. So for out of 10, bro, I'm listening to Gary V, Grant Cardone, Bigger Pockets every Thursday. Yeah. Maybe a couple other stuff. But man, I listened to that for like 4 years, 6-7 hours a day.
There you go.
It got to the point where like I was in the mail truck, Taraj, just delivering the wrong mail. Cause I'm like, I'm gone, man. I'm like universe century gone. I'm on a whole different planet, and they like, oh man. But
you know what you did? What you did was you changed your mindset to believing that you could actually be involved in this and make this kind of money and do it. and you did do it. Like
Yeah.
you said, you bought a duplex, you bought flips, you bought whatever the case may be. You did do it. So what you were doing was you were reforming your mind during that time.
Yeah.
And
now,
that's what you got to do.
And now it's even hard for me to listen to a whole podcast because I'm so busy. I'm like, man, it take me like 3 days to listen to a bigger podcast. You know what I mean?
Because you're busy with your own deals.
Yeah. So I was stuck. So I feel like, you know, a lot of people experiences, you got to go through it because it's like building you for it. Because now I can't listen to a whole podcast without getting distracted. But when I was in that mail truck, like Taraj, right now, you got to be sitting still. So it made no other sense but to learn. You know what I mean? Learn, then go take action. Learn, then go take action.
Right.
Yeah.
And guys, I have a very, I'm ready for the next question, but I have a very specific and structured routine now, and I have to do this for my life now. I'm up at 3 o'clock every single morning. Every morning I get up at 3 o'clock, and I'm looking at deals because just like a person, a trader looks at the stock market, I'm looking at deals in my area and zip codes that I know I buy in to see what hit. What just came out. I'm on LoopNet every day to see what just hit LoopNet because I want to try to get to that deal first. Okay. So 3 o'clock in the morning. And while I'm doing that, I put on something from Grant Cardone. Okay. Now I do have, this is the last thing. I do have a little bit of a, what's the word? Well, let me just tell you how I do it. I listen to Grant Cardone when I really want to get the real information and knowledge and get educated. I listen to Ben Muller when I want real estate entertainment. Okay, because you know how Ben is.
Yeah.
So when I just want to be entertained and laugh a little bit and kind of just like, but still get information, I listen to Ben. But if I want to get diehard in my numbers and understanding what the next strategy, the next move is, I listen to Grant.
Yeah, you know, funny thing I heard Ben Muller say, I think it was like maybe yesterday or today. He said he was looking at a plaza, and it was like, you know, a commercial plaza. And they were like, he asked the guy, he was like, what's the leases look like? The dude says month to month. He said a month to month ain't nothing but a tenant leaving next month. You know what I mean? Or because really when somebody tell you it's a month to month lease, you really don't got a tenant next month. And it was funny, like you said, entertainment, but it's true. That's
but it's true.
Entertainment, but it's true. So
but it's true.
If you're trying to sell something, a house or something, and you tell the person it's month to month, that's not as solid. But say you say I'm selling this house and it's rented out on a 2-year lease at $3,000 a month. That's that's a strong tenant.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
and it's funny you mentioned that, George, because when I bought all of my units, I think most of the units were sort of month to month, or some people had long-term leases. But the first thing I did was I made my property manager go in and put everybody on a year lease. That's the first thing I did when I bought them.
And that's value add the first day you did it.
That's value add immediately. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So if you had to be a spiritual animal, what would your spiritual animal be, you think?
If I had to be a what?
No, if you had a spiritual animal, what would it be? Like something, an animal that may reflect you. Like, yeah.
It would definitely probably be a tiger, dude. It'd be a tiger. It'd be a go-getter, man. It'd be somebody that sits in the cut and watches and waits, or even a cat. I'll take a cat. My cat does it all the time, right?
Right.
I got a cat. That somebody sits in the corner and waits for the right time to go and strike. But then when I strike with everything I got, meaning I make my highest and best offer off the bat. I'm not gonna try to lowball and then work up to a deal, or I'm not gonna just shoot over just to get the deal and then lowball it afterwards. I'm gonna make the right number offer immediately as soon as it's time.
Yeah.
So I'd say a cat or a tiger, dude.
Hey, Taraz, what you think yours would be?
Ooh.
he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, I gotta think about that one. If I had to go off top, I'd probably be an owl.
Why you say that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Cause owl, I feel like they post up. You don't know that they're there, but they know you're there. They're soaking up,
and they're observing.
They're observing, and I'm very observant. So
right,
I would go with an owl.
That's a good. I'm glad you said that, dude, because I can see that in you. I can tell from just kind of talking and where you are and some of the things you've said. And this is another thing, you guys will learn this. Like one gift I do have is I know how to read people within 2 or 3 minutes of just talking to them. I know where they're at. I know where they're coming from. I know whether they're super conservative or they're very aggressive just by what they tell me in the first few minutes. So Taraj, I can see you saying an owl because number one, because you still got that 20 grand in your bank account. Okay, so you posting up, you're just looking like, okay, when is the right time? Let me see.
Right.
You know, I got this 20 grand, but I also got a job. And that tells me a lot about you. That tells me a lot. That means to me that you want and need that certain level of security. Okay, which is cool. It's nothing wrong with that. But it just says to me that so therefore you're a little bit more conservative than I am. You're not going to jump into this thing quite as fast as I will.
Makes sense.
That's all.
All right, I'm gonna just say mine since I thought of.
Yeah, what's yours, dude?
All right, y'all be like, it's crazy. But I think my spiritual animal is a monkey. And the reason I say that is because like a monkey, you know, probably like he like to have fun and play, but at the same time, it could be like boom, real quick. You know what I mean? And a monkey like to bounce around. So me, I ain't gonna lie, I like we was driving today, me and my wife, and I'm like, man, I wish we was going on a road trip right now. If we was coming back home. But yeah, I like to bounce around. I like to go different places. I don't like to be like that mail truck. I felt like I was in prison. Like I'm like, I gotta get out of here. You know what I mean?
You were.
Yeah. So now, like, you know, my day consists of like a monkey. Like I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. You know, I might have to do this, might do that, but I'm free. You know?
Right. You're free to kind of move around, swing around, and do different things. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta be like everywhere at one time. You know?
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. So, something you wish you knew. Something you wish you knew 5 years ago. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah. I wish I knew that real estate existed. You know, I wish I knew that 25 years ago when I became a musician. I probably would have never become a musician. I would have probably done this long time ago and been a lot further along than I am now. I'm 45 now. So I would have probably done this. Like I said, I wish I knew 5 years ago about those apartment complex deals and all of that stuff. And I would not have bought those single family houses that I bought. I would have took that 25 grand. Like I said, I had $25,000 every month left over. I could have held off and had 100 grand in 4 months, 5 months, or whatever the case may be, right? I could have used that to buy my first apartment building deal. But I didn't have the information. I didn't have the knowledge.
Yeah. So you would have went bigger, faster, basically.
I would have went bigger, faster. Definitely would have went bigger, faster. You know? Yep.
All right. So the podcast is called The New American Dream. The old American Dream is basically, you know, you work a steady job for 30 years. Like my mom just retired from the school system. She worked there a long, long time. Okay. And now she like, you know what? I'm finna start living life. That's the old American Dream.
It is.
The new American Dream is about like, you know, getting out here and going mountain climbing now while you got good knees and good health, you know?
Right.
That's the new American Dream. What's your version of the new American Dream?
My version of the new American Dream is that, like we talked about earlier, you don't have to go to college to get this information. Like now, we have YouTube University. We have all of these class, I don't know what you call them. Udemy is one. All of these different type class things that you can take classes and get educated on and learn from the comfort of your home how to do certain things. And now you can start businesses right with a laptop computer. That's all you need. So the new American Dream is that you can start a business from the comfort of your home and get paid for it without having to even leave your house if you don't want to. And that's the new dream, because now you're unlimited, because the world, so for instance, with my chess company, that chess company I told you I started, I was limited to the schools that I could get to in the area, right? Guess what happened when COVID hit? When COVID hit, all of the schools said, you know what? Schools are shutting down. So I'm automatically thinking to myself, wait a minute, my program is based on kids in schools. So what happens when the kids are not in schools? Oh, I need to switch my company to going online. Chess lessons are taught every day online. Why didn't I ever think of that before? Because I was so small-minded, just thinking that I needed to have schools in my district. So when COVID happened, I went all online, and then it opened up my company to teaching across the whole world. Now I got kids in California, Chicago, Arizona, Washington, D.C., Maine. All of these kids now are taking chess lessons from my company online. That's the new American dream right there.
Yeah, that's how I find all my guests. If it wasn't online, well, I'd be interviewing.
You wouldn't even know where to go to get the people. Get your guests from.
Yeah.
That's the new American dream. That's it.
Opportunity. Okay. Yeah. So if the people want to find you, where do they, look, where would they go?
ChessHomes. All you got to do, like I've spent, some time branding ChessHomes. So, and I'm not there yet. I still got a long ways to go. But, all of the social medias, just type in ChessHomes. You're going to see a black circle with CH in the middle of it, and that's me.
Dang.
Just ChessHomes. That's it.
And I'm going to put the link and all that in the show notes. Taraj, okay. I think that should motivate you to, get it moving, spend that 20 grand by next Tuesday, buddy.
Dude. You got the money to do what you need to do, Taraj. All you got to do is you have to just get in the mind frame to say, let me go ahead and write this check to somebody that I trust that can put me in a deal. Okay. And that's the quickest way you're going to build your money. It's not going to build sitting in the bank or wherever you got it sitting right now. It could be under your mattress. I don't know where it is, but it's not going to build there right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. Thanks for watching the show. And that was a great episode of the New American Dream podcast. Peace.
Peace.